All right, welcome back here to Fox and Friends on this Mother's Day. Well, in an effort to teach students what their First Amendment rights are, they were taken away, pulled off. A group at the University of Wisconsin in Eau Claire held an event where you could eat all you wanted. All you can eat, like a buffet. But you had to give up all of your freedoms in return.
Yeah, your freedom of speech. Jenny Yu is the president of the Society of Professional Journalists at the university. They planned the event, and Pat Doyle took part. Good morning, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Jenny, I know that in college there is very little currency as valuable as free food. So I can imagine that you had quite a turnout of people, kids, coming in and saying, sure, I'll give away my freedom of speech for a while so I can eat free food. Tell us how this experiment worked.
Basically, we blocked off a part of the UW Eau Claire campus mall, and students just came in, signed away their rights, and had access to free food. And it was surprising to see how many students thought it was worth it to sign away their rights for free food. They would come into this land and be approached by the dictator, protesters, goon squad members, religious preachers, and they'd be faced with these skits where they'd basically have their rights taken away. So.
Yeah, this is interesting. So you had, you guys had students acting as though they were police or goon squads and dictators coming in and basically telling the students that they can't do this, they can't do that if they chose to eat. Pat, you were one of these individuals who took place in the event. What was your response? What did you find you were limited by? You ate a lot of food, but you couldn't talk?
Right. Well, I was one of the lead protesters at the event. So as people entered the country of Freelandia, I would tell them that they could rise up against the dictator and overthrow him so that we could have free food and still have our First Amendment rights. And it was really interesting that some people were really willing to give up their First Amendment rights. They didn't care that they couldn't speak to their friends or sit with their friends as long as they had a sandwich in their hand. But other students really took part in the protests where they came in. They weren't involved with any of the organizations, but they stood up for the rights that they think they should have.
And Jenny, this is a really interesting experiment and obviously a great kind of academic exercise, but you say that it got emotional for some kids too.
Yeah, some students realized that the rights they were giving up were rights that they wanted, so they would actually make their own signs and start protesting, and some would even refuse to sign away their rights, saying that they'd do anything to just keep their rights. So we got a good response.
I'll throw this out to both of you guys, whoever wants to take it, Jenny or Pat. Was this successful? Do you think a lesson was learned here? What's the bottom line?
Well, from what we heard of some of our classmates, it actually spurred discussion in some of their classes. I think we had a statistic that around 99% of people can't name the rights protected under the First Amendment. And after the First Amendment Free Food Festival, students in classes were asking their professors about the First Amendment, what it means, and all the other constitutional rights that we have.
Are you guys going to do this again?
Definitely. Next year we'll do it again, and we'll probably have a bigger show out than this year, which this year was 170 students, which was more than we expected. So I think next year they're more looking forward to it. Interesting
civics lesson. Jenny Yu and Pat Doyle, thanks for joining us this morning from Minneapolis. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Happy Mother's Day.
You too.